Welcome to AgriBusiness Global Report, a show that brings you executives interviewing executives or experts working in the agrochemical, biological, and plant health industries. In this show, Bob Trogele, Chief Operating Officer of AMVAC Corporation, interviews CS Liew, Managing Director of Pacific Agriscience. They'll discuss mergers and acquisitions activity in the agricultural market.
So good day, everyone. My name is Bob Trogele. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President of AMVAC Corporation in Newport Beach, California. And I have the pleasure and the honor today of interviewing CS Liew.
Good morning or good evening, everyone. I am based in Singapore. I have a company called Pacific Agriscience that I formed about 24 years ago.
Yes, you're an expert in mergers and acquisitions. And the mergers and acquisitions activities in the chemical agricultural market have slowed since mid-2022, mainly due to the price of money, right, through the inflation and the interest rates going up around the world.
Right.
But what do you see going forward from today on the ag mergers and acquisition market in the next 24 months?
Yeah, that's a good question, because M&A is really an area of focus of mine. You know, I mentioned earlier, I started out 24 years ago forming my own company. We started out trading in generic pesticides and representing some companies in specialty ag products, right, like adjuvants, surfactants, foliar fertilizers. And 6 years ago, I pivoted my business to putting a major focus on M&As, mergers and acquisitions. That's because over the years, I built up a very wide network of contacts around the world. That includes yourself too. You know, we have known each other for so many years. You know, Bob. So yeah, so that's a good question, and that's really hitting home some of the important aspects prevailing in the market right now. You're right. Activities have slowed down a bit over the last year or so. It's not only because of higher interest rates, higher cost of money, but also valuations. Wow. You know, because of the war in Ukraine that, you know, caused an upsurge in prices of ag inputs like fertilizers as well as food itself. And also then we also earlier talked about the geopolitical rivalries and causing commodity prices to go up, you know, like pesticides, you know, going to the US from China. So these are disruptions that is having an impact on the minds of owners of companies that want to sell. You know, they think that, you know, it's a golden opportunity to get valuations up because of all these surging prices, you know, in food and commodities. So that is also putting a damper on M&A activities because of this sort of exuberant thinking of the owners of these companies. They want very high valuations, right? So I often tell them, you know, to temper down, you know, because yeah, whilst there are lots of opportunities out there for M&A, if valuations are well beyond what buyers and acquirers are aiming for, it's not going to close the deal. So yeah, so not only interest rates, but also too high a valuation, you know, that is prevailing in the market. Then another area that I want to bring to your attention is that I think going forward in the next 24 months, I have said it before, and I'm going to say it again, there's a lot of focus on market access. Because you have many more companies, let's say in India, in the last 24 months, 36 months, a large number of licenses have been issued to companies to start producing technical grade pesticides. You know, in India, going back 10 years ago, you might have only about 30 or 50 companies that produce technical grade pesticides. But in the last, like I said, 2 or 3 years, many more licenses have been issued. So a lot of formulators are now moving into producing technical grade pesticides. So competition in India, competition in China, and competition with each other, I'm talking about the technical grade producers, had already been very intense right in the past. But going forward, it's going to get even more intense. So people are fighting over a market that is growing by only 2 or 3% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate. I'm talking specifically the chemical pesticide segment, right? Not the biorationals. The biorationals are growing by double-digit CAGR, right? So there's going to be more intense competition, and therefore everybody is knocking on the doors of the same distributors around the globe. So I always said to all my associates who are producing technical grade pesticides, I think you got to start focusing on taking a stake in some of these major distributors around the world, because then you have more say as to where they buy their products from, if you're a shareholder. So I think going forward, certainly there will be more M&A activities in terms of gaining market access. In other words, not at the very high level of R&D. You don't have too many of those left. If you're talking about R&D based companies, you have really the big 5 or big 6 that we all know. There's no room there for M&A, without running into major antitrust issues, right? So it's all going to happen one layer down. So one layer down, you have yourself there, AMVAC. You're pretty active, AMVAC, in terms of acquisitions, M&As. You have Adama, you have companies, people like Brand in Illinois, that's very focused on crop nutrition. They are pretty aggressive as well in terms of making acquisitions. So it is more one tier down. And then where are they looking at? They're looking at companies with technologies, right? Particularly in the biorational space. They're looking at market access. I myself just helped to close a deal last December between Adama in Beijing and Grochem in New Zealand. And basically it was for market access, because New Zealand, Grochem had very good network of distributors in the horticultural sector, which is the more lucrative sector of the ag market. So there will be a lot of activity still, Bob, going forward, but mostly at that second tier, or maybe even the third tier, and mostly for market access.
Yeah, the EBITDA multiples that I've seen in the biorational space are between 12x and 18x. And recently I saw a company go for more than 20x. So the prices are quite high. So I would, just, say, yes, you're spot on. And then market access in Brazil, you see a lot of companies buying distribution or setting up distribution direct that are basic manufacturers. And so that's where the game right now is being played. I do see on top of what you see, I do see a lot of right now distressed companies, startup companies that are running out of cash and having trouble raising money. So a lot of that is crossing my desk. But that was a good, excellent summary, CS.